Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the POAP Report, the show where we love to talk about the news, projects, and communities around POAP. I'm your host, Mister Mojo. We got a lot in store today. We'll be talking about a small but significant feature that was added to POAP creation. We'll even be taking another dive into the new issuer guidelines. We even have our first interview that's going to be featured here on the show. There's a lot in store, as I said, so let's go ahead right into it. So for this week's top story, one of the limitations that POAP event creation has had for some time are the requirements that an event organizer must meet with their POAP art files. While this wasn't much of an issue for still image POAPs since you can use PNG file types, having an animated POAP needed much more finagling in order to work. The dominant file format of choice for small animations has been GIF file type files for some time, and honestly as long as I can remember. But POAP did not allow for GIF file format to be used when uploading your POAP art image. You actually had to turn it into an APNG, which admittedly I didn't even know existed until I learned about POAP. I can tell you from a user experience standpoint, having to convert a GIF file into APNG was pretty frustrating. Thankfully though, within the last 2 weeks that has changed because it is now possible to upload GIF files as POAP art, so yes. Now, as an event organizer, you can smoothly take your animation in the format that it's most likely already going to be in by default and just upload it as your POAP art file, as long as it's under 4 megabytes. From conversations that I've had with a few friends in various artist communities, plenty are excited about the quality of life improvement. And this past week on the POAP community call, we were discussing the sentiment around this update, and we started to talk about the pros and cons of animated POAPs. I have solidly been in the camp of pro-animated POAPs. However, Get POAP's business development lead Nick Sorokish, she had gave a perspective that I really hadn't thought about until it was pointed out to me. So I had asked her about Get POAP using animation in their art, and this is what she had to say, so let's go ahead and take a look at that.
So Git POAP has discussed whether or not we want to do animated POAPs, and at this juncture, we're not doing it because the idea is a Git POAP gallery is going to be sort of your resume in like some respect, and we don't want it to be super distracting. Like, I don't know if you guys when I look at my POAP gallery, it's a degree of distracting because I have one that like is a dog like spinning around, and I have to take that off of my screen whenever I'm doing anything because it's extremely distracting in the background or on the side.
Oh,
So
yeah.
talked about it and we're open to it, but right now we've decided to like hold off on doing anything animated.
So basically what she's saying here is this. Based on what a Git POAP is meant to represent, having animation in the artwork, it may be distracting or even detract from the quality of that POAP. So she had elaborated this by stating that Git POAPs are meant to be used in things like resumes, so having the distracting animations might detract from the resume and things within those lines. We continued on with the conversation, and Beacon Chain Health Consultant Superfizz, he had expressed his preference for the still image art. He had said that he cares more about the event than the gimmick in the POAP. And they were definitely on the other side of the coin, I guess you could say, from the few conversations that I have had about this. But here's what I have to say. So, I think it's great that POAP was able to finally allow for GIF format to come out. There's definitely going to be people who want to have animation within their artwork, but it does need to be tasteful. We're going to go a little bit later into being a responsible issuer, but a little bit of a sneak peek on that. One of the things is that you need to have good craftsmanship, and this really means like, hey, you want to make sure that this is being presented and represented appropriately. So, say you have something that you're going to put on a resume. Maybe you don't want it to be animated because it's going to be distracting. Or, maybe You've Met Me POAP, maybe that's the perfect place to have an animation, or even just some generic events in general. And the line that Superfist has said, where he had stated that he cares more about the event behind the POAP than the gimmick in the POAP art itself, that has really resonated with me because it's true. When I get a POAP from somewhere, I want it to be appropriate. I don't want it to be stupid or silly or just not make any sense with what's going on. So I definitely understand where he's coming from there. But I do think it's really exciting to see that GIF format is now available. There's been a lot of people who've been begging for it, these artists who have just been wanting it, because it has been annoying to change your GIF file to a PNG. Like I said earlier, I didn't even know that file existed until I was doing some POAP organization myself. But what do you guys think about this? Be sure to tell me down in the comment section below what your thoughts on how POAPs are now able to be in GIF format for event creation. But alright guys, we're going to take a small break. When we get back, I'll begin our first deep dive into the new POAP Issuer Guidelines, as well as taking a look at some POAP news stories that are currently happening. I'll see you then. Be sure to join my friends and I for the POAP Community Call every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. It's one of the best ways to hear about what's going on in the community with discussion of what's happening, as well as listen to guests talk about their time in the POAP ecosystem. It's even a great way to earn a POAP for your troubles. See you in the official POAP Discord. Link in the description. POAP had released new issuer guidelines nearly 2 weeks ago as they took the next step for helping shape how we use and act with POAPs. There's a few things that we can look at and talk about, and today we're going to talk about the first section of the document. So here, POAP is outlining what they believe to be the responsibility of the issuer, or in other words, the event organizer. So it says right here, it says, quote, "The proof of attendance protocol is dedicated to preserving memories and creating richer connections. Issuers using the protocol should consider the sustainment and growth of the POAP ecosystem in their typical usage." And so it goes on to separate them into 3 different points here. I'm going to talk about all of them. So first, we have the protocol preservation. So this is saying that the issuer needs to be able to verify the attendance of their event. They only need to give the POAP mint links to those who are meant to actually get them, so the people that meet the qualifications and are actually eligible to receive it. So no giving out your POAP links to whoever, but do give out your POAP links to those that deserve them in order to preserve the integrity of the protocol. And then next on here, they have good citizenship. So this is just a line. I'm going to go ahead and quote it. It says, quote, "The POAP community must abide by a mutually agreed upon code of conduct and should act as good stewards of the technology POAP brings to the world." So what does this mean? Pretty much what this is saying is pretty much what it says right on the tin. So it's saying, hey, follow the rules, use POAP in ways that make sense, don't use POAPs that harm people, things of that nature, I guess. Basically, if you have to debate if what you're going to use your POAP for is an appropriate use, chances are maybe that it's not a good idea. Maybe not in every case, but I think you see what I'm saying. And then third here, they have craftsmanship. So I was talking about this a little earlier in our top story, but with this one, the major point being made here is that the thoughtfulness needs to be put into the creation and execution of your POAP. So you need to make sure that you have a proper use case for the POAP, make sure that your distribution method is appropriate, make sure that you're not being lazy with your POAP event, everything entailing that. So this also kind of circles back to preserving the protocol. You don't want to do anything inappropriate that's going to ruin the integrity of the protocol, and you want to have good craftsmanship in how you present and represent the POAP. So again, don't be lazy with it. Make sure it's being presented in a positive manner and being thoughtful in how you put it out there. So now that we've gone over some of the 3 major facets of issuer responsibilities, let's try and basically put it all together here. So I've been hitting these points as we've been going on, but again, you want to make sure that you have a POAP that is appropriate for the occasion. You don't want to have a POAP for just anything. During the talks about GIF files, during the POAP community call, Nick Skorkish was talking about, there's a difference between a POAP for going to the grocery store and a POAP for a resume, and, maybe you don't necessarily need a POAP for going to the grocery store, you know what I mean? Um, and then whenever you do have your POAP, you have to make sure that you have a way to know who actually deserves that POAP. You just don't want to give it out willy-nilly. There's definitely been cases that I've seen of people who use secret word and it gets out there and now there's 1,000 of this POAP that really only like 50 people were supposed to have, but now there's 1,000 of them. And well, that POAP is basically useless now for any kind of future use cases because it's been given the people that don't actually qualify for it or who meet the eligibility for it. They just put in a secret word and well, they got their POAP essentially. And that's also talking about, let's see here. You want to have a fitting name. You want to have a great description. You want to have art that makes sense. And as I've been saying, a distribution method that makes sense as well. And even you want to put that in your petition. When the POAP creation team knows how and what you're doing this POAP for, so like what the POAP is for, who it's for, and how you're giving it out, that's going to make your petition a lot easier. And then you want to make sure that you are tasteful in how you give out that POAP. So, you don't want to be having it on display in a way that's going to make POAP look bad or just out there willy-nilly. You want to make sure that you are presenting it in a way that is positive for POAP. So right now, POAP is in early stages, and anything we can do as users and as citizens of the POAP community to help its growth is basically, like, ultimately what we need to be doing right now. And really, if you think about it, let me put it to you this way. You're willing to use this technology to give a token of appreciation to a person who either has met you or whatever, they met the criteria for earning this thing. You're offering it to the other person, and I'm pretty sure you would want them to accept it, right? Or at least whenever I'm trying to give someone a POAP, I want them to accept it. So the more people that you're able to onboard and be users, if you give them a positive experience, that's just going to be another person that's going to be part of the POAP ecosystem. So another person that's in POAP in terms of a user, and then another person that in the future you'll be able to give POAPs to. Maybe they'll want to come back to your events because they know, oh man, like I like this subject. I'm going to go to their event because I know I'm going to get a POAP or something like that. But pretty much more people are going to learn about POAP. It's going to allow POAP not only to grow, but the potential outreach that your POAP's going to have is going to increase because more individuals, they're going to understand what's going on and they're going to be using the service. So there is this concept that I think about all the time. It's called the flywheel effect. And in business, a good definition for this would be when you have small but significant wins accumulate over time, and it creates this momentum that's going to keep the business growing. These small wins over time is going to practically make automatic success. There is an article that I want to show here, and I'm not going to read everything, but this little square blurb at the top here, I'm going to quote this because it gives a pretty good explanation. So it says, quote, "The flywheel effect is a concept developed in the book Good to Great. No matter how dramatic the end result, good to great transformations never happen in one fell swoop. In building a great company or social sector enterprise, there is no simple defining action, no grand program, no one killer innovation, no solitary lucky break, pardon me there, no miracle moment. Rather, the process resembles relentlessly pushing of giant heavy flywheel, turn upon turn, building momentum until a point of breakthrough and beyond." So what this is saying is, or I'm even going to relate the POAP in this case. So in order to keep pushing that giant flywheel in the right direction, we need to be aware of how we preserve the integrity of the protocol. We need to show good citizenship as a community. We need to put effort in how we present and represent our POAP events, things like that. But what do you think makes a responsible POAP issuer? I would like for you to tell me in the comment section below. So one of POAP's business partners is doing even more with NFT technology. Earlier this year, POAP and Warner Music Group went into partnership to provide artists under the WMG label with POAPs that help enrich live events and interactions with those artists. Warner Music has been on the front lines when it comes to incorporating Web3 technology into their products, and is another example of that right here. So, this story, it comes from Music Business Worldwide. It talks about a new NFT project that is generating the art from audio frequencies. So, this collection that the article is talking about, it's called Stickman Toys. And each NFT has its own track, if you will, or at least as it says in the article, has its own track. So, the art is algorithmically created from, as it says here, quote, bass lines, drums, melodies, sound effects, and vocal samples produced by producer duo The Stickman Project. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at their website here. So on here, it talks about how the NFT owner has the underlying copyright, so the owner is free to commercialize the audio and visual product within the NFT, which is an interesting concept. So the article that I had, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to that. The article goes on to talk about this being a collaboration between Warner Records, one of their partners that they're calling the tech culture partner, which is called Capsule. They're also partnering with a Web3 platform called Probably Nothing and Bose Audio, and it's that Bose Audio partnership that's important for being able to gain access to this NFT collection. In the article, it states that even though the mint is free, you have to actually purchase what is called the Stickman Toys and Bose Quiet Comfort 45 headphones, or you need to purchase the SoundLink Flex Bluetooth speakers. I'm going to go ahead, I'll link this article in the description if you wish to read the whole thing, but let's discuss this a little bit. So, this is kind of interesting. Basically, what this article is talking about, I'm going to go ahead and scroll through it here a little bit. What this article is talking about is Warner Records UK, they're trying to do more in the NFT space. Like I had said earlier, Warner Music, they're trying to do a lot more with NFTs. They had partnered with POAP earlier this year, and they wanted to just do more. So these NFTs, they're these, let's see if I can find something good here. So, all right, so this is from the website for the Stickman. Basically, you get these NFTs. The art is generated by music, essentially, by sound waves. And so I guess certain frequency values are what make, like, basically you have the frequency value and it goes in a list, and whatever trait is in that is that value, I guess it gets put on there. That's my guess. And then you're also able to keep those, like, audio sounds within the NFT. Now, you're able to take them if we look right here. So if you have them, you're able to take them and you literally own everything that is about that NFT. So pretty much basically what NFTs are meant for. It's supposed to show ownership just on a blockchain. So you have the IP rights to whatever is in there. Kind of cool. It allows you to commercialize it however you want. And I think it's interesting that the music industry is going in this direction, I guess. So the people who are allowing you to own this, basically they're taking the money from giving out these NFTs and then just let you do whatever. So it's kind of like giving back to their fan base in a way. I don't know if this is going to be something that lasts forever, but it's definitely an interesting concept to see. At the end of the day, good on Warner Records for continuing to push creativity into the NFT space. Even though I'm not necessarily a customer for this kind of stuff, I'm sure that this collection is going to do just fine. Now I want to talk about another thing that's happening in the real world, I guess you could say. So tech company Cisco, they had gave out 2 POAPs to those who attended their Cisco Las Vegas conference. So Cisco Live, as it's called, it had featured over 1,200 technical and business sessions that had covered things like apps that they have, networking, security, the cloud, things like that. So Cisco hosted this event last month, and Cisco Live attendees that stopped by the DevNet zone and scanned their participant QR code received a POAP for attending the event. There was even a second POAP that was given out here, and it was at the Hello World desk. And Cisco DevNet, they had released a video during that time that had highlighted the use of POAPs at their event. So let's actually go ahead and take a look at that.
And for the first time ever, we had proof of attendance protocols. It was an NFT experience, an effort that Cisco Live attendees can actually prove that they were right here in person in Las Vegas with us.
It's super cool. I got both of mine. I'm super excited about that.
I did too. So if you haven't checked out our updates, check them out all week long. We've been giving daily updates to everyone.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. So I actually do have the links to these POAPs. So here is the main one from the event. They were able to get 53 willing participants to use this POAP. So whether it's them adding it to their collection or just being onboarded for the first time, pretty cool to see Cisco doing that. I even have their Hello World one here, pretty much half participation from the first one, only 26 getting that one, but that's a-okay. Glad to see that people were willing to get these things. So according to reporting, this is the first time that Cisco has actually used POAPs to engage their audience. And in regards to the usage of POAP at the event, the POAP founder Patricio Werthalter, he actually has a quote. So he says, quote, "We love helping Cisco pioneer using self-custody digital assets to celebrate relevant milestones of its community members. Cisco professionals work very hard to achieve technical excellence, and with POAPs, they can own a unique item that, with the help of blockchains, commemorate the event forever." So they had stated in this reporting that Cisco had planned to deliver more POAPs for future events and POAP collections, as they said, quote, they said they will provide extraordinary benefits. So I guess we'll have to see what kind of benefits those will be in the future. But nonetheless, it's great to see a giant tech company like Cisco be willing to put this out there. And there's quite a bit of people who attend these events, so it's great that they were able to get eyeballs in front of this technology. And being able to get the idea of POAPs in front of them is pretty good signs of POAPs growth as well. But alright everyone, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, it's time for my interview with Nftychat co-founder Slobo.eth. It's one that you're not going to want to miss, everyone. Stick around. Are you somebody that's also enriched in this environment and you want to share what you know? Be sure to tweet me at either Mister Mojo RS, that being my personal Twitter, or at the POAP Report with what you want to share with me. Who knows, your story could even be in the POAP Report. You could even be in the POAP Report. Who knows? Reach out to me again at Mister Mojo RS and at the POAP Report on Twitter. Alright, everybody, so I am here with Slobo.eth. He is the founder of Nftychat, a place that we can go to with Web3 integrations. So, Slobo, tell me about yourself. What's up?
Hey, man. Thanks. Love to be here. I always like people who are spreading the word of Web3 and Nftychat. So my pleasure to be here and having this conversation. So, yeah, like Mr. Mojo just said, I am the co-founder of Nftychat, which is aiming to completely eradicate Discord and create a Web3 alternative that we all desperately need, with no spam and the bots that don't try to show you various things all the damn time. So with that, maybe I start a little bit with my background, which is I'm the founder, as I mentioned. I'm also a ENS steward. So I'm deeply connected to Ethereum name service and overall just a crypto and Ethereum probably maxi at this point, which sounds weird to say it like that. But yeah, I mean, I just really like all things crypto. And once I saw the shit show that was Discord, I thought that crypto could do better. So that's my background. Yeah. So what's next? I can show you around. We can leave it anywhere I want.
Yeah. So one of the things that you had said just now, that you want it to be like the Discord killer in a way. So like, what about Discord made you actually really want to do this? Because Discord is a place that, especially in Web3, a lot of us go to that to even form community. What about Discord made you like, okay, like, look, this ain't it. We need more. I'm going to start this now. What really made you want to do that?
Yeah. So, imagine this was a year ago. I bought Slobo.eth. I started getting into crypto and I brought a lot of my friends into it, and they joined a couple of like NFT communities and all those kind of things. And all of a sudden they started getting these like FOMO mints, and I didn't warn them in time. And one of my friends ended up minting a fake mint, because you get this like, like you have that environment in Discord where everybody's trying to mint, everybody's trying to make sure that they get it. And all of a sudden you get this direct message saying like, oh my God, you just won like 10 slots. And one of my friends, they didn't lose a lot of money. They lost $500, but that's still real money. And that was their first crypto experience. And I'm like, how is this even possible? Like, does Discord even care? And I think that's what really precipitated my desire to want to solve this, because I think the people who are in crypto, we rarely get kind of snagged by these scams. But all the people that we're trying to bring in, they do. And I'm really sensitive to the initial onboarding of folks. And like, yeah, like I will be transparent. Like, I do think a lot of features of Discord are great, right? Like, has good voice. A lot of people have built great communities on it. But ultimately, it doesn't seem like it protects the user when you're dealing in crypto. Maybe for gaming, it's okay that like anyone can send you a message. But if you're dealing with money and you're like 3 clicks away from sending all your ETH or all your ENS to someone, I think there needs to be better safeguards. Not to mention the other thing that was always confusing to me about Discord, that the first thing that we tell people when you join a Discord server or when you join crypto is don't click links. Yet the first thing that you do is you have to verify who you are by clicking a link from a bot. So we're training users in this, like, it's like we're all like lying to ourselves. You know what I mean? And I think that's what really got me passionate, is just like, I think all these, for example, like Guild.xyz, like I respect that company, Collab Land, I respect what they're trying to do. They are trying to make Web3 better, but ultimately they're building it on a shaky infrastructure of Discord, which I think is not going to be the end state solution for this. I think we need to build something from the ground up that takes care of all the security concerns that are really hard to like graft on and fix. So yeah, that's my thought behind Nftychat and why it needs to be built from the ground up. And effectively, it's probably easier for us to clone the features of Discord that we need than it is for Discord to clone the features of Web3 that we need, because it wasn't built for us. It wasn't meant for us.
Right. I'm actually glad that you had brought up, people, they just spam you with messages for their like NFT projects or for their coin or whatever. Because it is very true. Like, whenever I first really dove into Web3 on Discord, you join these servers and there's somebody, they just message you like, oh my goodness, you're going to miss out. You're going to have FOMO on this project. Or, oh, congratulations, you just earned 10,000 of coin that's going to steal all your money if you interact with the contract, It's so bad that I had to turn off messages to me. Like, you have to be either friends with me or like I have to be in that moment allowing messages from the mutual servers. And that's like rare, and that's only when it's like, okay, I have to have my DMs open right now. And sure enough, I open up my DMs for one day, I'll get like 3 messages like, oh hey, you need to come in, do this or that. Or even for me, there's people, they'll message me and be like, oh hi Mr. Mojo, are you able to give me a POAP today?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing, is that like I joined Lazy Lions. I don't own one, but I like them, but I don't own them. And the moment I joined Lazy Lions, my DMs just got blown up with like the most amount of scams. And the other thing that's kind of, I use the word funny instead of like sad, because I think sometimes you got to laugh at the problems versus like let that affect you too much emotionally. Many legitimate projects, what they do is they say that the mods will never message you, like every single project. But to me, that seems like such basic functionality of a communication platform. If I'm part of someone's community, I want to be able to receive a message from the mod, and I want it to be trusted. And I don't want to have to like jump through hoops of like friending them. So I think, like Discord and the Web3 community has created maladaptive behavior for the problems, where I respect people turning off their DMs. I respect the mod saying, I will never message you first. But that's such a like poor user experience, because simply Discord doesn't care to solve the spam problem. Where like on Nftychat, when we released it, only mods could DM, right? Because that's the most important communication to start, is that I want the project leaders to be able to communicate with the individuals who are part of their community. Over time, we're opening up DMs, but we're doing it slowly and carefully with thinking about the spam aspects of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's, I'll just give a quick kind of rundown for folks, since this is being recorded, of how Nftychat looks. And then we can go from there. But it's one of those things. It's very simple. You kind of connect with your MetaMask wallet. And of course, I didn't have my password typed in here. So you connect with your MetaMask wallet. Simple click, you sign a transaction. I've been here before, so it's very simple once you've done it once. You don't need to pay for a transaction because I'm just validating that you are who you are. Automatically, your profile is loaded, all your recent NFTs. It shows how much ETH you have. It shows when your year of your first transaction was. And the reason why that's important is that it tells me a little bit more about that person, right? It gives me, who are they in Web3? Like, you can tell what my projects are. You can tell that I'm an active POAP collector. And these are just my recent ones. So it's just like, oh, I was at, like I donated to the pop-in. Yeah. And everybody has. And I think right away, it's easier for us to form a connection. And again, the basic look of this seems like Discord, but what I want to show is we have these like native integrations where I can look at the recent snapshots. Let's say you're an ENS, you want to look at those. Let's say you want to know what the most recent ENS registrations were while you're talking about it. You can do it right here because we integrate Dune.xyz. And ultimately, everything that is a bot on Discord becomes a first-class citizen on Nftychat, such as like Twitter. Everybody has a Twitter channel, but to me, it makes sense that you should just, if you're thinking about ENS, you should be following, Nick and all these other folks. So I know I'm talking a lot, so I'd rather have you potentially ask me a question.
It's all good. I think it's actually really great that Nftychat is a place that has Web3 first, because you're right. There's a lot of stuff that we use as citizens of Web3 that Discord doesn't really provide to us, and we have to go and look at it ourselves. Knowing that it can be right here is great. Something that I also really love is, you're able to make your own communities on here, and you are able to put in like your own Twitter feed and stuff. So you don't even have to worry about what's the most relevant information. You can go to a Nftychat lounge and it's right there at your fingertips, or it's like, oh, it should, like you said, yeah, I really do want to keep up with what's going on with ENS. Oh, well, I didn't know that all these people should have been who I'm following. Let me go on this community feed right here. Let me just go ahead and follow them manually, or even, I don't even have to. Like, my list is right here. If I ever need anything, I can go to Nftychat and look. Stuff like that.
And it's more that when I'm working on Nftychat, I have kind of like my headspace is there, or when I'm like working with ENS, my headspace is all ENS. I don't want to be distracted by all these other things, but everything that's related, which is like the snapshot, the recent registration, any kind of like DAO activity with like stewards and things like that. I want that all to be the place. Like, my ultimate vision is that Nftychat is how you start your day and how you end your day. So it's like, it's your portal to the world. You come here, you say hi, you kind of communicate to folks, you kind of get your day started. And any kind of apps, like, I'm not trying to replace Snapshot. I want to integrate it.
Right.
Let's say you want to, let's say you're really a big fan of Pool Together, right? That's like a pretty innocent and fun like DeFi project. Maybe you want to have that for your community, that you can link out to it, and maybe you run a special event through it. And instead of having a Discord bot, which I think people in Web3 sometimes forget, that bots aren't really consumer friendly. If you're thinking about the next 100 million people that are coming into crypto, or the next billion people, it's not really natural for folks to type /claim or /something, because that's something that's very comfortable for developers or programmers or people who get very passionate. But in the end, if we believe, as I do, that crypto will eat Web 2, then I know that the usage patterns are going to match like the less sophisticated versions that currently exist, where everything is point and click, simple, and you don't need to have all this mind space of typing magic commands.
Right. Yeah, it's actually sort of interesting that you say something like that because POAP is a huge integration that has been put in Nftychat. And now, while you do have the token gated stuff in there, which I do want to talk about, I want to say this before I end up losing the thought. You have the snapshot integrations and stuff. I'm just sort of thinking, like, wow, how cool would it be? Just like you said, it's very point and click. You don't have to, like, type /claim. Whenever things can eventually move over to a Nftychat and you have some sort of POAP distribution, how great would it be to have on the side, you click on the tab and it just says, these are your POAPs available from Nftychat right now. And you can
Right.
just click claim and,
Yeah, and honestly, like I own, or I should say, Nftychat owns POAP Dispenser.eth, and the reason is that there's a couple of projects that I'm like a huge fan. I'm willing to like tell everybody and scream, like, hey, these are good projects. They're ones that I can support, ones that I believe will exist for a long period of time. The first one being Ethereum name service. I think that is like a great non-financial project that helps replace, that gives you custody of your own identity. I suspect it's a very non-controversial opinion to say it's an amazing project. The second one is POAP, because I like how it's, non-financial in nature. And like, I went to New York, I probably picked up 4 POAPs. A year from now, I can look and be like, oh man, like I've been doing so much traveling. What was I doing in May of 2022? And now I know. And I think that kind of value for POAP that's not about trying to get like rich, which some of these things kind of skew towards in crypto, makes me like have a lot of confidence that it's going to be around for a long time because it's serving a need without really monetizing a need. And that's what's kind of beautiful about that project. So that's why I integrate those things first and slowly will integrate the other things that are, maybe the staking. I don't have a strong plan yet, but because I just want to listen to the customers.
right. So I actually want you to show me a little bit about how POAP is integrated in Nftychat, if you could, please.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
it's actually very interesting how it's implemented, and you're doing more stuff with it all the time too.
Yeah, and that's, look, Nftychat is a team of 4 people. It's me, my co-founder, a lead designer, and a front end person. We run very lean. We're venture backed, but we didn't raise $10 million. We raised a very we raised $1 million, which is public. And the goal is just to build and be efficient and build just the features. So I have to prioritize, and I prioritize the things that are going to be around. So for example, I have this POAP chat centric community where anyone can come in here, and let's say you got a POAP, you can find it. One of my friends gave me this POAP for her first day in Web3. Probably has very few people on it, but it's like a very special POAP. I can easily create this room, click it, there we go, and let's see if it works. And the only problem is I got to go find where it is. And so most people aren't going to see it like this. The reason mine is a mess is because I'm an admin, so I kind of have to see everybody's. But when you log in, you would have a much simpler experience, and you go, congrats on your first day to my friend who was able to have, and anyone who collected it now has a special place where they can congratulate her, can engage in a communication with her. And I think that's what's great. And ultimately, when we have a mobile app, this is where it really starts to take off because you can meet somebody. So for example, this was the first room that was created, which is You've Met Slobo. I like You've Met POAPs. You created, and now if you find someone you resonate with, chances are they resonate with other people you resonate. And now you can meet all sorts of people who met you, and then meet like the second order, like, the 7, what is it? The 7 degrees of connection of Kevin Bacon or something like that.
Okay.
You could do that easier. And maybe I should show an account that's not, doesn't have too many privileges. So it doesn't look as daunting. Let's see.
Sure. While you set that up, so I can tell you from my experience using these, it's actually kind of cool. In fact, POAP themselves had a small sort of thing that they were thinking of where you get a POAP and you're able to go to a private chat room like within POAP themselves, but you've kind of taken it yourself. Like you took the liberty yourself, like, all right, we're going to have these rooms. And it's actually good that you had brought up like a great use case for that. you meet somebody. In fact, I'm thinking of this now. You meet somebody, you get there, you've met me POAP, and I know that this has happened to me. I got their POAP, but I didn't necessarily do anything else. Like I got their name like in person and stuff. But other than that, it's like, thanks for the POAP. I'll hit you up on Twitter later, but I'm meeting like 20 people at once.
Right. And you don't
Yeah.
want to grab their contact info. And again, this is kind of like we started this call, I think before you started recording, is about the shilling point or shelling
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's the whole point, is that like right now, that's not that useful. But when everybody knows this is the place to go to connect with all the people you've met, all of a sudden you don't need to grab someone's contact info. They're right there, right? You can find, whoever it may be that you've met with. So let's say
me.
it's you, like, and you'd be able to message them. And again, that's something that the reason why I currently can't message you is because we're waiting maybe 2 more weeks to roll that out more broadly, because in the end, I want to make sure we do it safely first. But yeah, so this is an account like Stewart.Slobo is one that I control. This is how I contribute to various DAOs. But you can tell that all these rooms disappeared because the only POAP that Stewart.Slobo has is, a Nftychat early supporter room. And that's how most people's experience would be. I also want to show that, we obviously have this GM room that, you type it and then bam, it kind of like, I always just enjoy that little thing. But maybe I should also talk about what's really coming. I guess like this gas meter is pretty nice. I guess, again, all of these things are just little integrations that we put in that are the use cases that everybody has to do day to day when you work or when you interact with Web3 for at least 20% of your day.
Right. Yeah, and when you have so many places that you have to look at and go, like, no, I have to look at like Twitter, I'm looking at Discord, I'm looking at news sites too, just trying to get information on stuff. So whenever you can eliminate places that you go and you're able to aggregate things together, it really does get kind of nice because you're not having to go around. You do have that shelling point where you can come together. And even kind of like we've been talking about, you meet 20 people at once, you know where you can go to talk to them some more. You don't have to worry about, okay, did they follow me on Twitter as well? Because they got their DMs shut down on there too. We all know that, okay, we can go to Nftychat and for sure I'm able to talk to you because, oh, hey, like you have my POAP, I have your POAP. Or even your safeguards that you use for DMing. Whenever you do open those up, what kind of stuff do you have in there for now? Because I know that there's some prerequisites for users now. What is that in the future going to look like?
Yeah, so I think our plan is to release it this month. So this is being recorded middle of July. I think we'll have it out by the end of July. The first safeguard is that you have to have an ENS name to send a message. And I think we're also going to limit how many messages every individual person can send unless they're like verified. So for example, like I know you're not going to spam people. I'll give you a special role that'll let you message as many people as you kind of want. And because I think the thing that needs to be done well is you can apply a really broad set of like restrictions and then you limit the usability. So I don't want the spammers to force me into behavior that's going to make it very hard for the platform to be useful. So like to start, like I think the way we're going to release it, unless there's going to be complaints, is we're going to let the user that like everybody's going to be able to receive a message from anyone with an ENS name. Because the way I look at it is if you spent the money to get an ENS name, you're at least like a semi-legitimate human. The other thing is that we give everybody the option of obviously turning that off. And it's in the works for you to put a little filter of like, hey, I only want folks with 1 ETH to message me. That's what we're building towards, or 10 ETH or 100 ETH, right? If like, maybe at some point it's just like, if Vitalik wants to message me, he can message me.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Cool.
But it's basically, it's just using your on-chain activity to create permissions based on what the other person has done. Because in the end, it's like, if you have 100 transactions and you have 100 ETH, I know you're unlikely to spam me in a way that like happens in Discord. Because like most of those accounts, they're the same person. They just create a bot and they just like blast thousands of messages. So again, I don't think most people are going to have more than 100 unique people that they talk with for a while. So why would I make it completely unlimited when I can just like tamper it down to the most like reasonable use case where you talk to maybe 20, 30 people and then add a little bit of buffer. I think those are the kind of like logic things that I don't see Discord applying, and maybe they're just at a higher scale, or maybe like I said before, they just don't care about crypto and the damage that they're causing.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of the place that we ended up going to Discord, because I feel like a lot of us just were sort of using it already. I know that the corporate world, they like to use Slack and stuff like that, but Discord's for like, everyone. It's for the normie, you know what I'm saying? And so trying to wrangle everybody up and say, all right, Discord isn't the place for Web3. We want to use this instead because it's more adept to our needs. It's
It
something
aligns
that
with the
you're learning,
values.
Yeah, and because you're totally correct on that, where we want to have an environment where, okay, we know it's one account for one person, essentially. I mean, of course, like you can have multiple, but like,
Actually, that's a
but like every single person behind that account is just one person, right? We're not trying to pretend to be like 50,000 people at once or something here.
No, and that's exactly right. And I do want to like kind of dive into that topic because, one of the most common, concerns people have, and I want to be upfront about it, is just like, I don't want people to know everything that's in my wallet, right? Like, I don't want my identity to be connected to all the things that I did. And I think that's great. But the way like Nftychat is built is people already have like, I have a few wallets that are, and I've showed them, right? Like I have, Slobo, I have my subdomains, and I have a couple other wallets that are at least public or can be easily connected to me. I have other wallets that are private because, and I keep them private. And if I wanted to develop a reputation on them, I could do that on Nftychat. We're not like logging that linking between different wallets, right? So like what I want to do is I want to give people a place where they can explore multiple different identities, right? And the reason why it's not going to create a spam thing is that if that identity doesn't have any activity, well, how valuable is that identity? But if it has a lot of activity that you want to just keep like separate, you can do that. Because that's what I like to, the way I think about identity, I think it's really core to a product, is that sometimes you want to be Alex. I'm fully doxxed, so this doesn't concern me. I'm Alex Slobodnik. I am the owner, co-founder of Nftychat. And when I engage in certain like avenues, it's important that I'm Alex Slobodnik. When I talk to, Chase, they want to know that I'm Alex Slobodnik. Other times when I'm online, I'm pseudo-anonymous. I'm Slobo.eth. It has a certain kind of personality associated. It's crypto. It might be linked to my real identity, might not be. And I can be a certain different type of person, kind of like my, I was going to say like throw my hair back, but maybe that's not a great analogy for me, a great analogy for me to use. And then there are other times I need to be like, super dgen.eth, or I wonder if that's taken. Probably
Yeah.
is. But or like private Slobo.eth, right? And I would probably name it something that is not. And I want to give everybody the opportunity to communicate and create those identities. I don't think we're one person, and I know this is a little bit more philosophical. I think we're multiple people, and the context of the situation determines who we are, and that's what I want to enable. And I think that's what crypto enables that I don't think folks have really realized, and what ENS enables. That's why I'm so bullish on all these things, because you can create like personalities that are used in certain contexts and gives you an opportunity to explore those personalities. So I know I just dumped a lot. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
No, I actually really like that you've sort of thrown me that perspective, because one of the things that I've been working on in the background a bit is like Sybil resistance and things like that, especially when it comes to like POAP distribution and things like that's been really like prominent in my mind, like one person, one POAP type of thing. So being given the perspective that like, hey, maybe you can have sort of like a multiple like purpose type thing, it's great. And I kind of think back to myself, like, yeah, like there are times where I'm real life me. I want people to know like me IRL. There's times where I want people to know Mister Mojo, and then there's times where I want to just be like some like totally anonymous lurker. No one knows who I am. My name is something completely different. It's been a while since I've done that, honestly, but there were times where I was like, okay, I am just some randomly generated username, and here I am, like
Well,
hanging out.
you want to explore a community, right? You
Yeah,
don't know what the community about, and like you're curious, and you don't want to like. I was never, I know it's like really trendy to kind of like shit on like Mark, from Facebook. I call him by his first name, but I don't know if he still pushes that narrative of like one true identity, but I think that's just very restrictive to who we are as human beings, and I think that's really useful for advertisers. But that's not how human beings work. Like some people are family people here, and like you said, and I think it's a great opportunity for you to explore a community, and you go into it and you're like, oh man, they're saying that kind of stuff. I'm not aligned with this, right? So you kind of generate what you need to generate, and then you get out, right? Or you learn that you don't want to be part of that community, but you want to do it without saying like, oh, I saw Mister Mojo in like the Nftychat community. That Nftychat community is no good, so Mister Mojo is no good, right? And you want to explore those kind of things, and like I think in the old world, you could go to a bar, you could see the kind of people who are there, and then you're like, oh, I don't like this bar. I'm never going to go there again. But in the digital world, everything is like recorded. So you kind of need these like semi-disposable identities, but that aren't completely free. And I think that's where ENS and where your activity on the blockchain or POAPs come into mind, where, hey, I went to this in real life event and now I'm a real person at least. Let me go use that as access control for a different event. And I think those things it's going to take time to develop and think through, because we are becoming a more virtual world, and therefore there's going to be these new behaviors that I think people who are in Web3 crypto, we can kind of see the outlines of what the future is, but I don't think anyone really knows.
Right.
I think the other thing I just want to mention, like, I do think that Sybil resistance, especially with Gitcoin, like those are the two places that I kind of think about is, you have quadratic funding. Really important that one individual is the one that like it works well when it works honestly, but people will always try to game the system. I just think that as we work through Sybil resistance, we don't accidentally throw out the baby with the bathwater, because sometimes, just like we did, and I say I go like the Web3 crypto community, I take some responsibility for it, made it so like you have to like turn off your DMs, and now communication friction increased. I want to make sure as we pursue this Sybil resistance, we don't limit people's freedom to explore who they are, even if at the cost of like maybe people, like maybe when someone gets a POAP, it's not one person, one POAP, it's something like 1.1. I think what we will all agree is that what we're really trying to stop is the egregious like one person, 100 POAPs.
Yeah.
And I think if we aim to just minimize versus eliminate, because I think that's going to be really tough, or you have to do the world coin and even things like that, or that kind of stuff. I think we'll end up in a more pragmatic, better place where the goal is to like reduce it dramatically versus eliminate it, just because when you try to eliminate, you might end up making certain like sacrifices that are going to be a net negative to the crypto community.
Right. So you basically want to take what I believe is called the Swiss cheese approach, where, every single slice of Swiss cheese, they have different holes, but when you put the whole block together, you have a full cohesive thing. So, all right, you take your slice here, sure, like say, it's you have the ENS. Okay, there's a few holes in that maybe, but
Yep.
you slap on, hey, you need to have like, 0.1 ETH in order to private message me or something, or like there's that, but there's still some holes in there, or maybe okay, you need to have certain POAPs. Great, there's some holes in that too, but all together you have a big block of Swiss cheese that just looks cohesive, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And it's in my mind, it's okay if it's one person becomes 0.105 or 0.1, right? It's like really easy for people to agree that when a person controls 100 identities, that and kind of uses it to game airdrops, to game like POAPs, or to game like quadratic funding in like Gitcoin, people like the society of Web3 people don't like that, and I can get behind that. I just want to make sure that we always take a measured approach. And the other thing is that my goal as a platform is to give you the slices of Swiss cheese, as you said, that you choose to implement however you want, right? So I can be unopinionated, like I've just shared my personal opinion, but that opinion is not that relevant. My goal is to provide tooling where you want to block people based on ETH, or lack of ETH, go ahead. You want to gate things based on POAP or several POAPs, go ahead. And again, that way I empower the community leader or to apply the rights with cheese model that they want.
Awesome. But all right, is there any final thoughts or anything that you want to show us before we go ahead and wrap up?
I just encourage everybody to go to nftychat.xyz, try it out. I'm always there. Big supporter of ENS and POAP, and I can't wait to see what the next 6 months brings for this obvious winter, crypto winter that we're entering. So I can just tell everybody's building.
Yes,
and
keep building.
I'm very excited. So those are my closing thoughts. Check out Nftychat and feel free to reach out to me in almost any way you want.
Awesome. Yes, be sure to go to nftychat.xyz. Make sure to type GM every single day to get your GM streak going. But all right, Slobo.eth. So wonderful to talk to you as always. Thank you so much for coming on the POAP Report and talking about Nftychat with me. I think we had a Nftychat ourselves.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the end of this episode of the POAP Report. So to end off, I'm actually doing this like a few days later in editing. I actually want to show what I think going to be the end results of the POAPathon bounty that I put out for a logo for this show. So I sent this out last Wednesday. It is now Sunday night, or really it's 1:30 in the morning on Monday. So hey, but all right. So here is what we got. So the ones that I was really interested in here, let's see. So the ones that first got me, when these ones came in, I was like, wow, okay. These are the ones so far that are like the best for me. Like these were the two that were like, all right. These are the number one right now. Daniel Sheldon, he actually came in. He had made one for me. He made a caricature of me. I actually really like this, but I don't know if it's the direction I'm going to go. But, like, man, my nose, it's so big. It's so big in this. But I actually went into the mirror and I was looking at myself. I was like, yeah, sure, I guess so. It's a caricature, you got to exaggerate certain parts of yourself. I really like the eyes, though. He really got my eyes spot on in this thing and my eyebrows and everything. Yeah, like, pretty good. And it was all hand-drawn, too, so pretty cool, except for the POAP logo right here, but hey, whatever. This one was alright. It's interesting when you see drawings of yourself. This one, I'm going to be honest, I don't want to take it. This gives me like Steven Crowder vibes, and that's not what I want. Sure, he may make independent media as well, but that's not the kind of influence I watch or anything. Let's see here. This one I really loved when I first saw it, and I actually asked the artist if they could go ahead and put it with Mister Mojo instead. I don't know. I like it a lot. This one, I think this one's gonna get money no matter what. It's either gonna be first or second. But I don't know. I actually downloaded it and I tried to use it with like the YouTube and everything, but the ends get cut off. So I guess if I do pick it as a number one, I'll just ask like, what can you do to make it look good in the YouTube like area, I guess. And then they would also need to make extra things for me too, because like I don't know, like the whole yellow and black, wasn't really going for yellow and black. I'm trying to go for like POAP style. What else was here? This one, I mean, it's alright. I can tell that they got this picture from my like Twitter or something, because like it shows my blue jacket and everything. That's kind of what I look like in my Twitter picture, but like flipped. But it's alright. I don't know. Like it is more like the style. It does make me think POAP, but I don't know if someone I'm gonna go with. This one was alright. It's kind of like it actually is very much in line with what I had said. The independent media people, the independent media channels and stuff, they have logos that look like that. So, good on laughing for it. Like they stayed in line. And see here, I think this is the last one on the list. Yeah, pretty much like a splash on there, like you can put it in there. And here's a good example. So this is from like my proof of concept. He kind of threw it up in the corner. So, you know, very news-like, very news-like. I actually asked the artist of this one if they could change the color scheme a little bit. And here's what I mean. So like the background on this, I think you know what I mean when I say it. That background is used in like a lot of stuff already. Like I can think it's used for ETH Denver just right off the top of my head. I think even like That's Good Sports uses it as well. He's like a football person. So you know, it's one of those royalty-free backgrounds and stuff, and they're using that as the color scheme. The thing is, I asked the artist to make this like more POAP color scheme because, to be honest, I think this is gonna be number one if it's that color scheme. If it's that color scheme, it's number one. But I guess you'll see which one I pick. So, what do you think, everyone? Did what I got as submissions look good to you? I'm actually very satisfied. I think I'm like a kid on Christmas with this. Uh, it's so cool using a service and getting art, man. Like it's so surreal. It makes this feel like it's more real in a sense, like it's actually happening. Because like I'm not good at this stuff. I'm just not. I suck at this kind of thing. Like art design is not my thing. So people helping me out in this regard, thank goodness. But all right, everyone. Which one did you like out of all of these? Did you think I made a good decision? I think it's going to end up being, if this one's color scheme is changed, I will pick it. If not, it will be this one right here, and then this one would be number 2. I think that's how it's going to go. If this color scheme is changed, this is number 1, and this is number 2, and then vice versa, depending on the situation. But all right, everyone. What do you think? Tell me what you think down below. And this is actually going to be the end of the show as well. So I hope you all have a great rest of your week. I'm going to see you next Monday. Thanks for stopping by the POAP Report. Take care, everyone.